What is going on, people? We've got an exciting show ahead for you guys, so thank you for deciding to join Mr. Cologne and my buddy Brian Yost to Coast. I'm going to be bringing him on in a minute. I want to give an opportunity for people to come in and kind of let you guys know what today's show is about. So I want to say, let's see who. Caesar, 1837, TDSS, Mason, what's going on? Jackson Fragrance, the Makeup 99. My God, today, what's going on? So, what did everybody wear today? I just showered, and I swear, if I sniff hard enough, my scent of the day is still on my skin. Today I rocked, what's going on, Mad Asian, JL Mark. Today I rocked Absolute Aphrodisiac from the house of Initio Parfums, and very, very, very impressed. I bought that fragrance on my last trip to New York, and there's a funny story about that fragrance. I was in the store with my girl. I smelt it and I put it on her, and went about my business. And a little while later, she was like, "Oh my God, what is this? I need to know what this is." That was Absolute Aphrodisiac from the house of Initio Parfum. And man, I wore that today. I wore that last night, and I wore it again today. I almost never wear fragrance back to back, and I had to do it. Really, really, really impressed. I see Nostalgia Collection is in the house. I'm going to be meeting with Nostalgia Collection on Saturday to check out his fragrances. So I'm really, really excited. I'm looking forward to that. Young Oxtails. Every time I see the name Young Oxtails, I get a little bit hungry. I don't know about y'all, but I love Oxtail. I also have a slight announcement to make. On today's show, I'm going to be unboxing this fragrance right here. This is one of my newest oud fragrances in my collection, and I've had this in my possession for about 2 months, waiting on a special occasion to open it. And I think today on this live, I couldn't think of a better time to open this. So I'm going to invite my special guest to get on camera with me. Yost to Coast, if you wouldn't mind making a comment so I can send you an invitation to join me on cam, and we're going to get this show rolling. I'm really excited. We're going to be talking about oud, and I love oriental fragrances, and oud is one of my favorite notes, hands down. So this I'm going to be opening as we get into the show, so stay tuned for that. My brother Brian, I'm going to bring him on. All right, so make some noise, y'all. Welcome Yost to Coast to the show. Yo!
What's up, brother? Hey, what's up, brother?
What's going on?
Good to see you. Nothing, good to see you.
Same here. You look a little different.
I've lost about 30 pounds.
Okay, and there's some stuff on your face.
Yeah, I got a little hair growth there. Not quite as beautiful as yours, but I'm getting there.
You gonna grow it out?
I don't know. I grew it out. I had it down about right here, but I don't know. I just couldn't rock it as well as you could. So trimmed it back up, made it a little cleaner, and I'm getting tons of compliments on it, surprisingly. Normally, I don't rock the facial hair.
Yeah, well, now I have to wonder, as a shave channel, how does that coincide with having facial hair?
Well, it's funny because somebody like you, well, granted, you have a nice smooth head, but most guys who come into wet shaving and have a full beard, everyone's like, I can't take that guy seriously. He has a full beard.
Right, right.
So I still got all the cheek real estate. I still got the neck, and then I'm discovering beard oils and other wonderful things to put in my facial hair. So all in that, it's still good. Just kind of get the best of both worlds.
All right, I'm gonna adjust my camera real quick. I need to bring it up a little. All right.
Sure.
So, Brian, for people that aren't familiar with your channel, I want you to take a moment to let them know what your channel is about, reasons why they should be following Yost to Coast.
Thank you. I appreciate that, guys. I run a wet shaving channel on Instagram. A few years ago, I got sick of doing, the cartridge razors and the gel. I found this amazing hobby of wet shaving. I'm so disappointed. I gotta send you some stuff too. Discovered this amazing thing of wet shaving, and honestly, it's kind of been a gateway drug into fragrances because, granted, we all have different scents here. We're trying to either tie nostalgia to it, or somebody's trying to get creative, or it's a cologne dupe. It's a great way to be exposed to different fragrances that are out there, and then you're in the in the fragrance community, and then it just explodes. It just goes so far, and oud is one of the things that I've kind of been enjoying, but I don't have much experience with it, and I want to be able to see what's out there in oud. And there again, too, it's kind of like with the wet shaving community. There's different phases that go through. People want a sandalwood, so everyone starts making sandalwoods. Everyone wants a certain, like, for instance, probably the biggest cologne dupe in the wet shaving community has been Aventus Creed. I think everybody and their mom has done an Aventus Creed dupe, which is fine. It's a great smelling fragrance, but there's been so many other dupes that I have in my collection that I've never smelled the original of that now I want to because of the shave soap or the aftershave.
So when you say a dupe, are you talking about a clone or a fragrance inspired by?
It would be cologne dupe. It would be like an imitation. So like, for instance, this one here by Phoenix Artisan Accoutrements, this is an Aventus Creed dupe, but I also have about 3 or 4 more that are also an Aventus Creed dupe. But it's cool because you also get a little bit different take. Maybe one's a little closer than the other one. One has a little, and that's the other thing too with the aftershaves in our community too, is average aftershave gives you about a 2 or 3 hour window of projection. But then there's a couple other artisans out here that I can put on the aftershave and I can smell it all day. And that's what I kind of chase. I kind of chase that lingering whiff to where I've been working hard all day, but I happen to bend over real quick and I'm like, oh, wow, I still smell good. I like it. And there's been so many things that I never thought that I would like that I do. But back to your original question, I kind of get carried away. I run a wet shaving channel. That's mainly what I do. I do have a YouTube review as well, but ultimately it's about community and content. When you come to my page, I like people to be entertained. So one thing is on my stories especially, I really like to kind of put forth the effort and make it fun to watch. So I appreciate if you guys will watch it, and I thank you, Mr. Cologne, for having me on.
Excellent, excellent. So how long have you been doing that?
About 3 years. I've been on Instagram for about 3 years. I've been wet shaving for about 3 years, but I really didn't start taking my Instagram seriously until about a year ago. When I really started bumping up the content and putting forth effort into my quality pictures. I like to buy with my eyes, so therefore I like to be my photos to reflect that, and therefore make my photos like eye candy, and it's really taken off. And that's one thing in the wet shaving community I felt that it lacked. There was no real presence or marketing that really stood out, and I think I've really excited the community, and it's been real fun.
Okay. So let me put things in perspective for those that may have just joined and trying to figure out, well, what's Mr. Cologne doing talking to a guy that does wet shaving? Today's session is fragrance discovery. As Brian alluded to, he's a little, oud is a little bit of a foreign territory to Brian. And I have a segment on my channel where I do a fragrance discovery. Typically it's mixed fragrances, but we're going to really be focusing on the node oud. So we're going to have a conversation today, and then I'm going to curate a list of samples and actually send Brian samples. They're not going to be labeled. They're just going to have a number. And my plan is to have them in a sequence from, baby training wheel oud to funky barnyard. Oh my God, what is this? So, what is your understanding of what oud is?
See, I know it's an exotic wood. From what little research I've done, I think it's even more valuable than gold per ounce, if I'm correct. I know it's a very dark, sultry, sexy scent, at least from what I get from it. I own 2 shave soaps with oud in it, and I do have one EDP, I think it is. The new House OK Fine fragrance?
I think I've seen it. I'm not 100% sure, but I think I've seen it.
They've only been around, well, at least as far as I know, their presence has only been around for about a month, but I won one of their opening giveaways, and I picked the oud cologne that was aged in an American oak barrel, bourbon barrel. So I'm getting a little bit of oud from that, and then I'm getting some bourbon as well mixed in, and some woodiness from the barrel that it was in. Outside of that, I don't really have much experience, but I think it's something that I really would enjoy if I find the right combination or the right strength or the right, interpretation of it. There's something there that that can sense, but it's just not there yet.
Yeah, you're definitely on the right track. Oud it's first of all, oud is a byproduct of infected trees that grow in Southeast Asia. So they infect these trees with a mold or fungus, and the trees, try to self-heal by producing this resin. And they, so then the trees, they grow with this stuff inside of them, and and some of them are really old trees, and then they cut them down, they chip the wood up, and they distill that resin from inside the tree. So you're right. It's a very expensive ingredient. I don't know for certain that it's more expensive than gold, but it is one of the most expensive perfume ingredients. And it is very popular in the West, and it's moved on over to the U.S. and places like that, and it has an almost cult following. I don't ever remember a phase where I was getting used to oud. It felt like I went from designer fragrances, and then bam, I found niche, and I was into oud. And I have been fortunate enough that I have some oud oils that are very, very, I like to say, aggressive. They're animalic, rough smelling, woody, resinous, and, and everywhere in between. So my goal is to get you to smell some of these fragrances. I want you to put them on and let them do their thing. What type of work do you do in the daytime?
I work in property management. I manage a student housing complex for Washington University students here in St. Louis. But I'm very physically active, heating, cooling, electrical, plumbing. So I'm always active, always working in and out of people's homes. And I always like to present myself well, carry myself well. But then again, I sweat my butt off. Today I was outside in the front of the building, building a planter box, and was soaked. So I'm very active, physically active, and I'm in a place where I can be up close and personal with a resident in their own home. So I always like to leave a good impression with somebody. And then I think scent, along with appearance, obviously speaks a lot.
Yes, I totally agree. And the reason why I asked is because if you were going to tell me that you were in an office environment, I would say maybe some of these you want to sample, on the weekend. But if you're going in and out of homes, the really good thing about good caliber oud is that it does well in the heat. I've got some oud fragrances. I've got some fragrances that when I think they're dying, they're the end of their life, I go into the sun and they come alive. So I think they will do well to hold up to the type of day you just described. And they should leave a nice little trail behind you. So I've got a little surprise. I'm going to be opening a package. This is a fragrance. It's an oud fragrance. I was gifted this at Aix-en from Parfum du Cita, one of my favorite perfume houses. And this is an oud fragrance. It's called Oud Infini. And I have been waiting for an opportunity to open it. And today felt right. We're talking about oud. So
by all means, please get at it.
Yeah, I'm going to unbox this. And I'm not wearing any fragrance right now. So I'm going to actually put this on and enjoy this for the rest of the evening. So
while you're opening that, you said you've been experiencing oud for a while. Did you surprise yourself when you found out what oud you like? Do you like oud that is strictly oud? Do you prefer the stinkier oud? Do you prefer a lighter mix?
I think my learning curve was really, really short. My first encounter with oud was like Rose d'Arby and Oud Isfahan from Christian Dior. And from there, it just was like I went into the barnyard territory pretty quickly and without reservation. My girlfriend doesn't like the type of ouds that I like, and it's fine with me. So here is the presentation of the oud thing. All right, so here's the box. Really, really nice. Really nice presentation. Wow. Golly. So here it is, Oud Infini.
Ooh. Wow. Man, fragrances take packaging to a whole nother level.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
That speaks volumes.
All right, so again, here's the bottle. This is Oud Infini. from the House of Parfum de Cita. And yeah, I've been saving this opening for a while. And this is, oh, I can't wait to put this on. And I can apply a little liberally because my girlfriend isn't here today. And if she was here, she probably, I'm working on getting her a little bit more acclimated with some of these, you know, really, really funky ouds. But this is wonderful. This is wonderful. But this is heavy, barnyard, funky.
In your face.
Yeah. But
yeah, see, I'm excited. I'm excited to experience that. Now, one thing I noticed, you didn't smell it before you put it on your skin. Do you always do that?
I noticed fragrance. I sampled it before. So
okay.
I knew what I was getting into. Yeah. I
Gotcha.
sampled this, and this is my third from the house, and it was really, really challenging. The reason why I didn't go with this fragrance as my first fragrance from the house was because I have so many oud fragrances. I didn't go with that fragrance first, but I had to have this in my collection, and it's such quality. I have heard people say that they had performance issues, so we'll see. If I wake up tomorrow morning with oud on my skin, I think it's safe to say that there's no performance issues with this fragrance. So
when you refer to performance, you mean longevity, correct?
Performance has a couple of different factors. It has to do with projection, which is, you know, if I'm here and you're over there, can you smell it? And then it has to do with sillage, which is the scent trail. If I walk through a space, can you come behind me and go, I know Glenn was there. I could smell him, right?
Okay.
And then longevity, you know, at the end of 8 hours, can somebody smell it and go, oh my God, what are you wearing? That smells good. So.
Interesting. Well,
yeah.
send me, see, that's the thing too, is wet shavers have a similar like scale of things they look for. You know, soaps can be very, very slick. You look for a good slickness, but then after you've already shaved, there's something called residual slickness, to where you can just wet your razor, go back over your skin again without actually reapplying more soap. So what you look for in a fragrance will help me kind of determine what I should look for in the fragrance. So if we could talk off camera about that, please let me know that kind of scale and thing. That'd be great. Yeah,
I mean, the truth is, as with anything else in life, if you do it long enough and you either taste or smell long enough, you start to get a sense for quality. And that is what's happened with me. Like, this fragrance smells like quality. You know, I've smelled some oud fragrances that weren't quite quality, and you just start developing a sense. So.
And that's the same with the wet shaving market too. You know, there's so many different varieties with the soap, with the ingredients and the super fats and the butters and the type of tallow. I've used soap with duck tallow. I've used soap with bear tallow. I've used soap with just regular, you know, cow tallow. But it's amazing what the result is you get from it, just from changing some of those ingredients. And, you know, back going to the scale with the initial slickness, the residual slickness, there's a post-shave feeling where your skin just feels like it's glowing. And that's kind of like the drug. You know, you get this amazing shave, you get this time to yourself to kind of pamper your skin, smell really good, and at the end result, you get this amazing glowing skin. And that's just what kind of keeps pulling you back in.
So let me just backtrack for a second. You said residual slickness, which is
there is the initial slickness, which is where, you know, how well it glides through the razor as you're going through. Because some of them you can tell it kind of tugs, or some feels effortless. But then once you've actually shaved the soap off, there's like this kind of a oily, slick residue on your skin. And all you have to do is kind of wet the razor a little bit and then just kind of retouch up the spots you missed. And if it can glide without reapplying more soap, that's a damn good soap. You know, and there again, when it comes to like the fragrances, you know, I can pick up two soaps that are, you know, completely blind, not marked, and I can tell you which is the good one. You know, and it just, where it comes down to regular use and discerning the differences. Just like somebody who drinks wine all day or drinks bourbon all day, they can eventually distinguish the differences. And it's, you know, it sounds goofy saying it out loud, but it's the same with the shave soap, and it's fun. And it's fun to watch artisans outdo each other.
Right. So let me ask you a couple of questions. When you're evaluating a shave soap, is it the same razor each time? Because if you change the razor, does that then eliminate the true comparison?
It does. It really does. A lot of people, especially me, well, granted, I've got about 20 razors, but there's two that I gravitate towards almost every time. So when it comes to something I haven't tried before, I immediately go to my go-to razor to make sure I'm getting similar conditions. Mm-hmm. So yes, that is a very good point you bring up. So that is one thing. And that's the thing too, is it's subjective, just like fragrances are. You know, I put out a review not to sway people in the direction of purchasing it, but is to be another part of the process to figure out. Like when you go to buy a new car or buy a new TV, you don't watch one review and say, okay, I'm sold. I'll watch, you know, this guy and that guy and this guy, and then I'll take a consensus, put it together, and say, okay, this may be worth getting. Or, you know, for most part, they all said it was pretty garbage. So, you know, my whole point of doing the shave review is to everybody is, you know, a lot of the stuff is sent to me because of the content that I put out in return. It's kind of a, you know, I produce content, you give me the product, so I figure the least I can do is tell people straight up, you know, whether this is worth investing their money or not. And it's been fun. Number one, I've met a lot of great people, and, you know, it allows me to give back. This isn't something I get paid for. It's just something that I really enjoy doing and met a ton of cool people doing it. So like everything else, you just kind of get an experience over time, and there's things that you look for, and you know, sometimes it's all about marketing. Like even knots in your brushes are different, synthetic or real badger hair. And, you know, some people are, you know, looking for certain types of hair. It's a rabbit hole like anything else. You know, there's always something else you're trying to chase after.
Okay. Does the whole niche and designer dynamic exist in your world? Absolutely.
I wouldn't say we have designers. We have a few artisans who I would say are more commercial than they are more, you know, still mom and pop making it in their basement. Mm-hmm. But there again, you can't use an actual fragrance. You know, those are copyrighted. So most of those are either pre-made dupes that they bought and thrown in the soap, or other people who have distilled the ingredients and recreated it themselves, which is also so cool, because then you get something that is reminiscent, or it's either dead on or it's reminiscent with their own flair. And that's what's kind of cool, because they get to be an artist. And there again, too, I'm a visual person. And with my soaps, you know, I love the labels. They tell a story. I love the colors. And that's one thing, too, I buy with my eyes. And so I like being able to walk in somebody and go, ooh, look at that. It's cool. It's got a robot on it. I'm like, well, that's based on a 1970s musk. It's pure musk, animalic musk. It's in your face. You know, this is something you don't really smell anymore, but you throw it on and you go back in time, and it's fun. And I think that's kind of why the fragrances have kind of been something I've been dabbling into, or like I say, the gateway drug, because you get hooked on the fragrances and the story behind it. You just develop these personal relationships with artisans and other people. But then I see you with these ouds and all these other fragrances, and I'm like, God, there's so much else out there I have no idea about.
Right. So what's your best shave soap?
Oh, God, don't do that, because if anybody's watching, I'm going to get shot. There is a hand. See, that's the thing, too, though. But seriously, for instance, okay, let me give you an example here. Son of a bitch. All right, I'm going to pull out my friend's soap real quick. I'm going to be a little biased, but First Line Shave is one of the best. He's a St. Louis police officer, so all these soaps have a story behind them. He's a police officer for St. Louis, been a police officer for many, many years. A dollar of every sale from his soap and aftershave go to support Backstoppers, which is a organization here that helps families for fallen officers. As a matter of fact, we just had one shot and killed 2 days ago here in St. Louis. So this organization, this money that is going from here to this organization is helping that family of that fallen officer. So there again, the stories and the fundraisers or the purpose behind a lot of these is great. Mammoth, which is another tallow-based soap. He's, I don't know what the percentage is, but a portion of all his sales go to fight human trafficking. So, and he's, you know, he posts all his donations. I think all his sales, he's got over $5,000 at least donated to him. You know, and he's a small guy. This is not this is not his day job. He has a real job. He does this on the evening. So therefore, it's got a great purpose behind it. But those are great tallow soaps. But then we have somebody like Phoenix Artisan Accoutrements, Artisan Gari Man. These are vegan-based. There's no tallow in here whatsoever. And a lot of reasons you don't have tallow is whether it's religious or not. There's people also that have tallow allergies. So these don't have any sort of animal fat whatsoever. But it's crazy because tallow is usually much easier to get a good post-shave and a good slickness. Vegan, you have to put a lot more work and effort and different ingredients in. So it's really opened up the vegan market to really start stepping up the bar. So to answer your question, sorry, I get really passionate about it. These are two of some of the best vegan bases on the market. And First Line Shave is one of the best tallow. And there's so many. There's so many good ones. And it's one of those, your miles may vary. I have my own personal set of favorites, and somebody else may absolutely hate them. But it's one of those things where you do it long enough and you start to be able to pick out what you're looking for.
Right. I can tell you're really passionate about this, and I really admire that, because I often get asked that same question, and I have to politely explain to people that at some point you start having your favorite rose, your favorite leather, your favorite oud, and then you may even get further as my favorite rose oud. So it's difficult to really say which is the best or which is the favorite when it really comes down to it. So I really admire your passion and you attempting to answer that difficult question.
I answered it as best as I could, but you obviously get where I'm coming from.
Yeah. Any chance we're going to see a Yoast to Coast brand one day for soaps?
Well, fun you should ask. My buddy First Line Shave here again. We're in the talks of potentially making a collaboration soap. As of right now, he's got 2 releases out. He's a brand new artisan. He's been on the market for about 3 months now. But eventually, I think that might be in the works.
What do you think will differentiate Yoast to Coast from all the other soaps out there?
Honestly, it's going to come down to scent, and honestly, I don't expect it to do well. Like, I hate throwing my name on a soap because I don't want to do it to sell. Like, you know what I mean? I'm not putting my name on it to try and make the soap sell. I'm putting my name on it because I want it to be from me. And so therefore, I'm selling this with the intention that this is what I like. This is not selling it because my name's on it. So it's going to be a very small batch. And when it comes to soap releases, that's another thing too. For instance, most smaller artisans, not the commercial ones, they're, normally when they do a release or a drop, you get 25 to 50 sets and that's it. And depending on most of the time they'll sell out right away. And then if it doesn't, then they gauge whether they need to remake that scent again. And a lot of times, like for instance, Mammoth, the one that fights human trafficking, he makes a set one time and then doesn't make it again. So it makes it ultra rare, and then increases the collectability. And there's black markets where people are charging 3 times the amount just because people want it for their collection.
Wow! Give me one moment. I want to grab the soap that I've been using and have you tell me if it's any good.
Okay. This will be fun. Thank you guys for watching. This has been great. I need to put my stuff away while he's grabbing his.
All right. And then we'll take some questions from the audience. We'll take a couple of questions from the audience. So this is the soap that I've been using.
Okay. It's not bad. I'd say it's on the average. It's not an artisan. It is a commercial-made soap, but I do own a set of it as well. I own it in red, which is a sandalwood. It's not a bad soap. You're definitely doing better than going with Gillette canned goo. You're definitely stepping it up from there. But no, you're not even beginning to touch some of the artisan stuff, which is just fantastic. So I'll get with you after this. I'm going to send you some stuff.
All right. And this is a brush that I use. I got this from the Art of Shaving.
Okay.
Is that any
brush? It's not bad. I think I have a very similar one. That was my very first brush too. Does it say Pure Badger on the back? Does it say Badger anywhere on there?
Yeah, Pure Badger.
Okay, yep, I got the same thing. This is not bad. If you got it from Art of Shaving, you overpaid. I did too. There again too, there is a whole market of wood turners or acrylic turners that make the most gorgeous brushes. This one here was cast with an anchor inside of it.
Oh wow, that's nice.
And then hand turned. This one here, I'm a huge fan of blue. So this one here is a metallic blue and a pearl blue and a white. They also put their coin on the bottom of it. And then I also put a blue knot on it to match because I wanted to rock the blue theme. This one here, I can't remember the dates. This has a silver tip badger, which is considered one of the best badger furs. One thing about badger is that they hold heat. They retain heat because of the natural fur. Some people don't do it for like humanitarian reasons. PETA yells at these companies. But this brush here is from like the early 1900s. Now this is brand new, but the specs and everything were taken from an early 1900s Drake brush that's no longer in production, and somebody put it back into production, bought the company, the likeness, and is now replicating these original brushes. Something that was lost in history now has a place again. And then you get somebody who just likes to make his own concoction. He calls this the skateboard. It's got these iridescent layers of different colors. Got ones that are made out of metal that are powder coated, and like it goes on and on.
Wow! So
yeah.
how many of those things do you have?
Brushes, I've got about 12. Razors, I've got about 20, and then soaps, I've actually cleaned out quite a bit. They call it piffing, pass it forward. I tend to pass forward a lot of the soaps I get for free for either evaluation or content. I've probably got about 40 sets of soap in aftershave right now, and then maybe 10 loose pucks of soap and a couple different EDTs. But there again, when it comes, like if you were to ask me, okay, I want to buy a soap and aftershave set, what's going to last me all day? Phoenix Artisan Accoutrements has longevity like nobody else. Now, when it comes to aftershave, you get a typical aftershave, you're looking maybe 2 to 3 hours and it's gone. But that's because it's an aftershave. It's not really meant to last all day. And some artisans will also offer their scents in an EDT or EDP. So you can buy soap, aftershave, and EDT. But when it comes to Phoenix, I've noticed that now granted, they're more expensive. It's like $25 for the bottle. But I can put this on in all the hot spots, throw some on my chest, and I'll smell it till I go to bed. And that's just, that's just how it is.
Okay.
So,
well, let's see if there are any questions from the audience, in case anyone is curious about shaving, the shaving soaps, the brushes, the razors. While we're waiting for questions to come in, what's your most expensive brush?
Well, it's probably going to be my turtle ship. I think this ran me $85, which really isn't that bad. There's brushes that I've had my eyes on for a while that are half acrylic and half wood. They call them like a resin pour, and then it's just gorgeous. But they run about 120 to 140.
Wow. So
80 is about the most I've spent. I think the handle on this was about 65. The knot was about 20, and I installed it myself. So I'm in about there again $80. And then I've got cheapies. Well, I say cheap, but this is probably about $40. I've got some from Parker Shaving Company. And, then I've got a lot sent to me as well, too. Now, one of my favorite brushes is actually made in China. It's by a company called DS Cosmetics, and they sent me a bunch for evaluation and photos. And I think they sell this on Alibaba for like $12, and it's actually one of my favorite.
Okay. There's a question here from Ryan Cigar Locker. His question is, what does DNA mean in fragrances? You want to take a stab at it?
I have no clue.
Okay. DNA, oftentimes perfumers have a characteristic style, and that style is played out in the form of an accord, which is a combination of notes that they may use in several of their fragrances, giving it a specific style, and we refer to that as DNA. Not every perfumer has it, but some perfumers, you would hear them say, it definitely has the house DNA. So that's
interesting.
That's what it means in fragrances.
So something that defines them as a company, then something that you'll know it's their signature scent.
It's kind of like their signature, yes, but it's just either their style of perfume. It could be two things. It could be their style, whether they like to make really ostentatious or left field fragrances, or a combination of notes that have a particular odor profile. So
gotcha.
We refer to it as fragrance DNA. For example, this company here. Quite a few. This is Fort and Manley, one of my favorite indie houses from Australia, and quite a few of its fragrances have a similarity, and I refer to it as the DNA. It doesn't mean every single fragrance will have it, but oftentimes you will find it in their fragrances.
So when it's there, you can tell.
Yeah, you can pick up some similarities. in their perfumes. Even, without any perfumer's knowledge, you can kind of start picking up on that type of stuff. So let me scroll back here and see if there's another question. So that was a great question. Let's see here. So Jack's Fragrance has a question. I got one. I literally just shaved with a razor, and it costs like a couple of pounds, and slap some aftershave or EDP, which are obviously stronger than EDTs. What are the benefits of all these extra? I'm not sure what the question is exactly. I don't know if he's asking what is the benefit of having an extra concentration. So
that basically just goes down to longevity, more or less, doesn't it?
Yeah, fragrance concentration refers to the percentage of fragrance oil in the juice. The more oil that you have in a juice is the longer it's going to last on your skin. It just comes down to, physics at that point. So some people like having that longevity. I wear a lot of EDPs. I have a few EDTs, and they smell good, but they just don't have the same body as an EDP.
That's the thing too, complexity I've noticed as well. Orange bottle, you said, what under $100 brush would you recommend? Honestly, at that point, you're pretty much open to anything. Anything under $100 is going to get the job done. If you're looking for a synthetic, if you're looking for an animal hair, send me a message. That's honestly the best bet. Let's kind of narrow it down because I can pick out, because like I said, the possibilities are endless, whether it's finish or it's material or color or size. There's so much to choose from. So instead of me just throwing out a brand or something, send me a message. We'll talk. Be a lot better. The benefit of the brushes and the creams, ultimately it comes down to your skin health. I've noticed that, like, for instance, when I shave with these better soaps, that my skin feels super soft, elastic, and gives me this, for lack of a better term, glowing feeling for a few hours. And I think even you would benefit too. You would notice it on your head. Now, I haven't pulled the trigger on shaving my head yet. Maybe one day, but one thing you're going to notice immediately is wow, what have I been missing? And it's just 15 to 20 minutes that, you've had a busy, rough day, or you've got, the family and kids. This is your time. You get to pamper yourself. You get to do it like your grandpa did. You get to whip up the soap with a brush. You get to put it on. You're not just squirting crap out of a can and using a cartridge razor like you hate doing. It's no longer a chore. And that's kind of what's fun about it. And then there's the scent experience, or the story behind it with the owner or the soap itself. And it just, that's the biggest benefit to take away from it is your overall skin health. I don't get like razor burn anymore. I don't get ingrown hairs anymore. And, I originally started it because it was cheaper than using the cartridge and, the goo, but then you get hooked. So yes, if you can buy one soap, one aftershave, one brush, and one razor, you're going to save a ton of money. But if you're like 95% of the rest of us in this community, you're going to spend a lot of money.
So let me ask you a question. I use Mach 3s. I typically use one razor twice, and then I throw it out. If I bought a reusable handle setup and I just bought blades, that would be cheaper?
100%. You can get a very good entry-level razor for $20 and a pack of blades. Well, for instance, this is a pack of 10 blades, single-edge razor blades. They look like a scraper blade almost. Mm-hmm. And let me give you an example now. This is a custom piece here, but you can get this here is like a 1970s razor that I had repainted with a new handle and new color. But you can buy a used one of these or any other, like, for instance, this is a brand new single-edge razor. You can get these brand new today for $45, and a pack of blades costs $5. And 10 blades, you can get at least 6 to 7 shaves minimum with one blade. So long term, yes, you're saving money as far as your blade replacement cost. But as long as you can settle on one soap and aftershave and your hardware, yeah, you'll save a ton of money. That's the whole reason I switched between getting irritation, especially on my neck, and then spending $15, $20 for these stupid things I'm throwing in the trash. I just happened to fall into an Art of Shaving store at the mall that we had at the time and was just like, oh, wow, this is so cool. But Art of Shaving overcharges, and they're owned by Gillette now. And they just, I don't think, it takes the personality out of it, I guess. The original people who started it. So when I discovered wet shaving and the small mom and pop companies, I was all in. And most of the small artisans, almost anything beats anything auto shaving has to offer. And their stuff's not bad. It's just really overpriced.
I agree. They are pricey. Now, my question is, Mach 3 has 3 blades that is supposed to give me a cleaner shave. How does one blade achieve that?
It really doesn't. The whole point of having 3 blades is efficiency. One's supposed to be a little closer to the next, and it's basically taking a 3-pass shave and putting it into one. My skin doesn't like that, and I don't chase, they call it the BBS shave, the baby butt smooth shave. I don't chase that. I chase the DFS, which is called damn fine shave. So one blade does less work, but it gives me a smooth enough feeling without irritating my skin. You know, even with all the fancy soaps and razors and everything, I still can't shave against the grain on my neck, or my neck will immediately break out.
Right.
So the reason I think if you have issues with shaving, if you have ingrown hairs or you have bumps, the thing you're going to benefit from is you're not getting 3 passes at one time. It's allowing you to dictate how close you want to get it. Because a lot of people will get a razor, and a lot of newbies will grab a heavy razor and think that heavier is better. I think when you start off, heavier is better because you're not supposed to put pressure on your face. You're supposed to let the weight of the razor do the work. So as I got better and honed my technique, I started gravitating towards much lighter ones because I then could control how I wanted to apply it. So there again, depends on the razor, depends on the gap between the head and the blade. They're listed as mild shavers or aggressive. All that means is that the blade exposure is closer to your skin, so you're going to get a lot closer shave. So I recommend if you're wanting to start in it, grab a $20 razor. Shit. Even grab the one you see at Walgreens by the Pawn Star guy. You've seen that one at Walgreens? It's like $20 safety razor. That will work just fine. It gets you in the hobby, gets you to understand how it works, how to use a straight safety razor, and then go from there. See what you like.
Yeah, I actually have a box of single-sided razors. I used to use a straight razor myself. Now I go to the barbershop. So I still have a box of single-sided razors. So I can fit that into, it should fit a regular safety razor that you just showed, right?
Depending. There's DEs, which are double-edged, which gives you a blade exposure on both sides. As you can see there, that's called a double edge, a DE. And then you have the single edge, which is literally just one side. Okay. With this one here, I can shave here and then flip it over and use the other side. This one only does one side. So
which do you recommend?
I have gravitated personally towards single edge. I get a more efficient shave personally out of it. My favorite razor is a 1914 Eveready. This thing was made in 1914.
Wow.
It has the patent date of March 24th on it. Bought it from a guy who restores them, and it is my favorite. And my Mr. Spots, I do have an injector, yes. That's a Type G injector that was custom remade. But my 1914 is also a single edge. And like I said, it almost looks like the blades you see when you're scraping like a sticker off a window. Now, granted, you can't go to Home Depot and buy those blades. They're not honed the same. Walgreens or even Amazon sells the gem blades, GEM. And personally, I get a better, more efficient shave out of a single edge. I feel I can get the right amount of closeness with the right amount of aggression and feel satisfied. I tend to just, I don't know, I've just gravitated away from these.
All right.
And I also do use straights from time to time when I'm feeling really adventurous. Those are fun because there's no room for error. This is you and a blade. There's no guide. There's no anything. So this is one thing that is taking some time to get into, but once you get it down, it's an amazing experience.
All right. There's a question here from Centurion7. He says, what's your go-to razor blade company?
When it comes to my single edge, it's Gem, only because there's not many options left on the market. When it comes to double edge blades, I don't think I have anything around. Voscot is good. I think Gillette makes 20 different varieties. The Gillette Silver Blues are pretty good. Rockwell makes some, and even in a pinch, I've used the Walgreen brand, and they're not that bad. Probably Voscot and Japanese Feather are probably my 2 favorite blades. Japanese Feather is the absolute sharpest blade on the market, but you got to be careful with it. But I think if you really want to experience something great, go to the Japanese Feather.
Yeah, I'm just afraid I'm going to cut my head.
I wouldn't do a feather on your head, especially with being new at it. Yeah. But I've got some good ones that may work for you. 7 o'clock, yeah, that's another blade there. I think I said Gillette too.
Okay. All right, let me see if there's any other questions.
Yeah, please.
And Mad Asian said that the wet shaving is another rabbit hole, and he could be
Oh,
right.
100%. 100%.
Let me see here. So while I'm looking, tell me, like, what should my routine be? Like, I typically, when it's time to shave my head, I'm like, oh, I need to shave. So I put some hot water on my head. I sit the brush under the hot water. Then I wet the soap, and I get this up and I do my thing. Like, should I be showering first? I've heard people say that you should shower first before you shave.
Well, it's similar to like when barbers use a hot towel. It softens the hair. So anything you do to soften the hair is going to help your shave experience. I'm at the point now where I shave practically dry because I'm doing it so much for reviews. Take the time and take the shower. Now, here's something. It's a little goofy looking, but there's 2 police officers from New York City who had a problem that they needed to solve. Being police officers, they have to be clean shaven. They would show up to work sometimes and be ordered to leave work and go shave.
Oh, wow.
So they made this product here called the beard blanket. Now it's goofy, but it's terry cloth towel. You soak it in hot water. You Velcro it around your face. So if you're in a pinch, really want to soften your hair, you can use this. But ultimately, my best advice is take a shower or get a hot washcloth, hold on there for 30 seconds. That's really all you need.
Okay.
If you can't do it, just take some hot water and get your face wet. But yeah, ultimately take a shower first, or just find a way to soften the hairs a little bit. As far as soap goes, if you find any trouble lathering your soaps, there's a process called blooming, where, like, for instance, this is best when you're getting ready to take a shower. Take your soap puck out, take some water, fill it in the tub, let it sit on there and soften the soap. Then take that water out when you got a shower, kind of use it as like a pre-wash. And then start lathering your soap. Your soap will be softer, it'll respond, and it'll lather quicker too.
Okay. How long should I soak it for?
Well, if taking a shower, 10, 15 minutes and more than that.
Also, while I'm showering, leave water in here.
Correct.
Oh. Okay.
Now, there's a big debate. It's one of those things, it's in the community where some people swear by it, others don't. I don't think it's necessary, but I think on some soaps that are a lot harder, some of them are legit, like hard like a brick. Definitely do that to soften it because it helps with lathering and getting that soap stirred up. Other than that, I don't think it's really necessary, but try it because I think you'll notice how much quicker that lather will respond and start building because it'll soften it up. It'll pre-soften the soap.
Yeah, I mean, I had another company. It's gone now, but it was a beige container. I got it on Amazon. It was sandalwood. And it was more like a cream. This one is kind of hard. So I do wash it off before I use it, but I didn't know that I could soak it for a few minutes. So that's good to know. Yeah,
definitely put some water in it. Let it sit on your counter while you're showering. Come out. Don't waste the water. Put it in your hand. Like I said, to get a little lather on your face, and then you'll notice how much quicker you can build a lather with it. Mr. Spot said, soaking your brush. Yes, that works with animal hair. You soak the brush in super hot water. It'll retain that heat. Even the one you have will do the same thing. Soak it in hot water. You'll notice that you'll get a much hotter lather. Synthetics don't hold the heat like that, so there's really no need to do it other than run it under hot water before you use it.
Okay. Well, if you guys see me without a beard next week, we have a guy to blame here.
Don't blame me. That's a beautiful beard. Don't cut that off.
Yeah, no immediate plans to cut it off. No immediate plans.
All right.
Well, Brian, I want to say thank you for entertaining us and also educating us on the fine art of shaving.
It's an honor to be on your page.
Same here. To have you, it's been a real pleasure. I'm looking forward to making my selections, getting them to you, and just hearing your feedback as you make your way through. It's going to be 12 different fragrances. It's going to take you about 2 weeks to sample all of them. And we're going to reconvene with a live session once it's all said and done. And we'll talk about what didn't work, the ones you hated, and the top 4 from the samples I sent you. That's the plan.
That's awesome. I'm excited.
All right, brother.
Thanks again, buddy. I appreciate it.
Anything before we leave?
Nothing at all. If you guys are curious about wet shaving, please message me. My phone's always on. I'm always helping people, regardless if you're a veteran or a rookie. Don't hesitate to reach out. We were all new at some point. I love it. This is part of the community. So like I said, follow me and don't hesitate to reach out.
Awesome. Well, thanks, Brian.
Appreciate it very much. Thank you, Glenn.
All right. All right, so that wraps up today's session with Yoast to Coast. I'm going to be putting together a sample pack and sending to him. But if you just joined, you may not have seen that I unboxed something here live, and I'm going to show you what I unboxed. So this is from the house of Lucita Parfums, and this is her Oud Infini. Just put it on for the first time, and golly, this is nice. The fragrance that I have that's closest to this is probably Oud Isfahan from the house of Christian Dior. But this right here is so, so nice. I'm really, really enjoying this. My only regret is that I'm going to be going to bed later on, and I wouldn't get to really experience this as it travels through the fragrance journey. But I still got a couple of hours to enjoy this on my skin. So I'm going to be signing off. I want to thank you guys for joining. It's always a pleasure having viewers when I go live, and I really appreciate you guys' support. And I'm looking forward to coming back in a few weeks and seeing what Brian has to say about the oud fragrances that I'm going to share with him. I'll talk to you guys soon.